Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the last of our leadership series for this year. I hope you've enjoyed the campus-wide leadership series. We really have a lot of people to thank, all the contributors, the School of Nursing, School of Allied Health, School of Medicine, School of Graduate Studies, HR, Hospital, CUPE, all contribute and allow us to have this series and for us to feed you too, which is only part of the attraction. I'm sure you really come for the speakers. So you didn't come to hear me, so we're going to move pretty quickly through this. We really do need your feedback. When you fill out those evaluation forms, it gives us an idea of what you want for next year's leadership series. Today we actually had almost everybody in the School of Medicine Dean's office helping, so I really appreciate their assistance, particularly Marty Gunyon, who has really worked very hard on this series along with a lot of the other activities that come out of our Office of Professional Development and Faculty Affairs. We have a complicated introduction system today. We thought that would be kind of neat. So we have, this is actually an idea of Jim Dugan's, which I think is going to work out really well. So starting with the youngest, the most junior KU basketball fan that we could find on campus, Cherie is going to just have a little short introduction of Coach Self, and then Coach has a little gift for her. So we'll do this pretty quickly.
Good afternoon. My name is Cherie Sanchez, and I'm a junior nursing student here at the University of Kansas. I'm here today to represent one generation of the multi-generational spectrum we have working together here at KU. With our standard practice of teamwork and team building, it is only fitting to welcome a speaker that represents these ideals. Coach Self's connections as a Jayhawk began when he was part of the coaching staff under Larry Brown. His career as a coach continued on at various institutions until it brought him back here to KU. Since his inaugural season in 2003, Coach Self has led the Jayhawks to 2 Elite Eights and 3 Big 12 championships. As the head coach for the Jayhawks and the 2006 Big 12 Coach of the Year, Coach Self is a figure that is admired by all. His leadership techniques, attitude towards his team, and work ethics are all of the same qualities that guide the members of the healthcare team here at KU Medical Center. It is a pleasure and honor to have Coach Bill Self here with us today.
That was sweet. Thank you very much. Thank you. My mom like that for you?
Coach is not used to getting introduced 3 times, so we have another youngster who is going to do an introduction. Dan Connors, who's Director of Respiratory Therapy. So, Dan.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Jayhawk tradition is very diverse. You just met an example of a young Jayhawk. I'm an example of an old bird. So, I graduated from high school in Florence, Kansas, a class of about a dozen people in 1968, and went to the big city of Lawrence and immediately was infected by Jayhawk fever. But the first time I went to a KU basketball game, that fever turned into a contagious disease. I'll tell you, you get in Allen Fieldhouse, you know, the atmosphere, the noise, the crowd, the pageantry, all the tradition, and so I soon became a proud member of the Stevenson Hall Kazoo Band and seldom missed a game for the next 5 years. I've been on the Lawrence or KU campus here in Kansas City as a student or employee for almost 40 years. I'm a member of the Allied Health Alumni Association. I'm serving my 2nd term as president, and also a member of the Alumni Association in Lawrence. My mother-in-law, my wife, and I are all, and my oldest son are all graduates of KU. And I have a son that's up there as a freshman right now, so we're definitely a Jayhawk family. Bill Self is really the most exciting coach I've seen during this almost 40 years I've been watching KU basketball. And I'm not just talking about his win-loss record. I'm talking about his leadership style. He doesn't just talk about winning games. He teaches about teamwork with a capital T, and you hear optimism and devotion and maturity and integrity and pride, and then selfishness. When interviewed about his selection as National Coach of the Year in 2000 and Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2006, Coach Self could have just basked in the glory. But instead, he redirected the praise to his team. And to me, that's really the mark of a great leader. I must confess, though, that I'm not happy with the coach's name, Bill Self. With his relentless emphasis on team spirit, his name should be Bill Selfless.
Okay, and then Joe Fisher is one of our also young fans of KU basketball. You said you couldn't remember who the coach was back when you watched your first game. What do you think? Fog Allen? Joe didn't want to speak, but he wanted to be here, and Coach has a shirt for him, and then I'll just do a short introduction. Coach Self. Just Joe.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, here's Coach Self.
Thanks. Sit down, sit down. I'm really impressed with my mother that she was able to write out all those introductions and get that to respected people. So, I am the coach at Kansas, but I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm the only guy in America. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to get here from Lawrence. First time I've been here. But I'm excited to be here. I thought the topic was how to win the Elite Eight game. So I guess I wouldn't be very good to talk to you about that. But no, I'm excited to be here. This is a thrill for me in a lot of ways because, Kansas, since being at Kansas, I've been totally impressed with the intellect that exists, not only in our state, but primarily in our institution. I'm just an Oklahoma boy and been in a few places, but I'm amazed at how bright everyone here is because, I admit I know nothing about what you guys do. But it's amazing to me that you guys all know everything you do and know everything I do too. It's a really bright state, So, I got here 45 minutes late, but still had time to tour the pediatric ward, and there were only four kids there that I could see today because of. I guess you have to have consent and do different things. I don't know what they thought I'd do to them, but I can only see four, and dealing with one that has a fifth grader has a bone marrow disease, and a young lady who has leukemia, and a couple others. It really makes me realize what I do is nothing. What I do is not important in the big scale of things, but what you do is. And it amazes me, how much attention because of the media that not me, I'm not saying me, but how much attention that entertainment gets. And that's what we are. In a lot of people's view is a way to be entertained, our team and everything. And we get a lot of attention for really basically not doing much. And then I see a lot of people such as yourself that don't get near the attention for doing a lot. And it really is humbling. It really is to be around people that are making a difference. I had a chance yesterday to go to a Big Brothers Big Sisters luncheon, just a normal luncheon, and was so moved by just a normal guy that took a normal kid in and see how that relationship blossomed over time, and that stuff impacts the world. And certainly can impact the community at least. And what you do is important. I mean, you're impacting lives, families. To think of the stress that the families go through when you have young children that are very ill is remarkable. Something I certainly hope that I never go through. But it's amazing the touch and the importance that you have in their life. And I started thinking about this. To win games, of course, at Kansas, everybody thinks that we got the best players ever. everybody thinks we pick who we want, then everybody else just takes whoever's left. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke how our players are put up here. You know, we recruit guys, and before they get here, you know, they're going to be the next Wilt or Danny, which is a bunch of crap. I mean, it didn't work that way at all. And what people here fail to realize is other people have just as good a guys. I mean, they got just as good a guys. And you know, if your talent level's in the top 10 to 15 in the country, then you got really talented guys. But, you know, I was on a show the other night, and I was like going, well, with all this talent, isn't it a big disappointment? Shouldn't have been a Final Four team? And I was like, yeah, I think we should have, but you know, other people try too, and other people have guys and that kind of stuff. But to give you the best chance to win over time, you need to have the best guys. You don't have the best coach. You know, Larry Brown's a fabulous coach, but let's call it like it is. He had Danny, and you need both. I mean, Roy's a fabulous coach, but you know, you got 3 lottery picks starting on the same team. You should win a lot of games. And the reason why Roy and Larry or Ted or Fogg or you know, even us, if we've been able to win, is because maybe you put them in the position to win, but you got to have the guys. I mean, you got to have the firepower and I was thinking about, you know, that, you know, when you talk about would you rather have experience or talent? Hey, give me talent. You know, would you rather have depth or you know, 5 great starters? Hey, give me 5 great starters. I mean, I want the best guys. And I look around. Isn't that what you guys want too? You want the best. And the best guys give us a chance to win the most games. And we're not going to go undefeated. You know, unfortunately, most of you think we should, but that's not going to happen. Okay, that will not happen. But I look around and don't you need the best guys in order to do your job the best? But the deal is with us, when we have the best guys, now there's some outside influences, some factors that become important to them that kind of clog everything up. You know, when we recruit a kid, if he ever says I, then that's a reason to jump his butt. It's not I, it's we. It's no longer I. It's Kansas. When we recruit a kid, he'll never, I had a recruit last year, parent asked me, well, if he comes to Kansas, will that be the biggest thing that's ever happened to the basketball program there? And I started laughing. I started laughing. Are you kidding me? Wilt played here. What are you talking about? But that's the mindset. So you know, you got to get rid of individual to play at Kansas. Now there's other places I coach where that's not easily done because you don't have a track record like Kansas has. So when you come here, it's about we. It's about Kansas. It's about being a part of something that's much bigger than you. And all you are is, for the time you're here, you're caretakers of what we, you know, selfishly feel is the greatest program in the country. That's all you are. Okay? That's all I am. Because, you know, I get such a kick out of it. How many are disappointed that Julian and Brandon are leaving? Shit, I'll raise both hands. Okay? All right? Okay. You're disappointed. How many of you are mad at them? Nobody should raise their hand. No, you shouldn't raise your hand. Okay? All right? Because, you know, but here's the deal. This is what they struggle with sometimes. As much as you guys love Julian and Brandon, trust me, I love them too. Some nights I love them a lot more than others. But I love them. But the love for Julian and Brandon's here. Where's the love of Kansas? Here. And so now when somebody affects your big love, now people are saying, why? He's messing with me too by doing this. And that's hard for people to deal with, but that's what I told Julian and Brandon. I said, that's life. You can't make everybody happy all the time. And of course it'd be nice if they made us all happy one more year. But that's kind of the way it works, and because you're never bigger than the name on the chest, and so but when you recruit really good guys, now you have outside influences, and you have the 3-letter word ego that becomes a factor. Okay? Now I doubt in your profession egos ever become a factor. I would think that, you know, no matter what, everybody can voice their opinion, and everybody else buys into it, and you're always right, and you know, all you guys are probably just, you know, real anxious to give up ground to let somebody else come in and tell you you're not doing things properly and things like that. But see, that's what happens with us. And that's why I was so proud of this team, is because we had guys that were recruited, even though, hey, Duke, Carolina, Texas, UCLA, Connecticut, Syracuse, Kentucky, whoever, they also recruited egos too. Everybody has this deal because, you know, the whole thing is, you know, I'm going to get to the league. And so everybody comes in kind of under a false misconception of, you know, where they are and who they are, and then they get humbled real quick when they get to school usually. But I would think in your profession that there's been a lot of people who've been humbled quite a bit in this room. And I would say that's probably the greatest thing that's probably happened to you in what you're doing. I think it's great to get humbled. I think it's great to be around people that are smarter than you. I think it's great to be around people just as good as you. I think it's great to be around people that maybe you need to educate and get them because they may have potential more than you. And the thing about building a great team, you gotta have a group of guys that only care about one thing, the end result. And the end result could be winning a game. The end result could be winning a championship. The end result could be cutting down nets in April. But you can't get the short-term things get in the way of what you want to do over time. And that's not always easy to do, because there's always somebody where you're messing with my game, or some parent or some AAU coach or some agent or some street guy or whatever that has claws in these kids saying you need to be doing this, this, and this. And there's so many negative influences out. I mean, so many negative influences out there that, you know, unless you're in the business, you would have no idea. That can get in kids' mind and manipulate kids' minds. And so I was so proud of our guys because I really felt like we had the most talented team around, good players and everything, but they only cared about one thing. That was Kansas. And because they only cared about Kansas, that gave us the best chance to be successful. And it doesn't always work that way. You know, sometimes you can have teams that just can't quite buy in, but this team bought in, and I was really proud of them for that. And I would think in your profession, you got to buy in 100% too. You got to buy in, because what is your goals and your dreams and your visions that you have in the profession that you go into is to make a difference and to not be so consumed with how you do things, but how we do things. And you know, I don't know anything about what you guys do. Of course, you know everything about my job. But I would think you want the best doctor, but I think you also need to have the best nurses, and you need to have the best you know, care after surgery or whatever it is, best rehab. You need to have the best, because if everybody's not on the same page, the ultimate goal will not be attained. And so I envy what you do, and I think it's a very difficult task. I think when you find a good team, don't you want to keep it? And I think if you're a surgeon, don't you want the same people in the room with you when you find the right team? And now, how do you keep people in the same room when you find the right team? You know, that's difficult too. You know, and I think it's real important that, you know, I think this, you know, I think everybody's got an ego, and I know I do, and you guys probably do too, but I've always felt like the more you can deflect any praise, it always comes back to you anyway. And so if I'm in a position of authority, which many of you are, the reason that you're successful is because everybody's working with you. It's not because of you. And if you really buy into that concept and you believe it personally, it becomes pretty evident that you can sell it. And I really believe that wholeheartedly. I've got the best assistant coach. The only reason we get good players is because we have good staff. You know, the only reason we win games is because we have good players. You know, and I buy into that 1,000%. And so I think that's a great way to live. I think that's a great way to get people around you to say, you know something, I'll do anything in the world for this person because I know they believe in me. And that's the message that I'd like to get across is all of us have special talents, even our players. I mean, they got unbelievable talents, but you can't put limits on them. You can't tell one guy, well, you're just this, you're that. They define their own limits. and then you tell them what they're good at, like, let's call it like it is. You think I ever told Julian to shoot? But I told Julian all the time, you are the best offensive rebounder I've ever seen. So that way, hopefully, he focused in on that instead of shooting. But I never told him don't shoot. A few substitutions may make you feel differently, but I think you dwell on the positives. And I'm not the most positive guy in the world. I'm not. My players. I've had people say, well, Self is positive and this and that, and they say, no, you don't. You don't. The guys are like going, you don't know him very well. But I believe in being totally upfront, totally honest. But when people do good, if they hear the negatives, they got to hear the positives, and there's got to be a balance. So I really don't know what else I'm supposed to talk about, but I'd be more than happy to take some questions since I know I've got plenty of time to kill here. All right, thanks for coming.
Coach, yeah, right. We'll eventually get into asking about next year's team.
Yeah, I know.
All of our professions are bound by rules, sometimes set for us by associations, some of which we like, some of which we don't. If you were the czar of college basketball for a day, what are some of the rules, policies that you would change?
I would say that what would be the one thing I would change? Well, there's a lot. I would change more than one. Here's one. I would allow junior recruiting. And, kids make decisions too early, but the earlier kids make decisions, by rule, they can't visit your campus until they're seniors. So if they make decisions before they're seniors, us being in a non-populated recruiting area, it's sometimes you don't ever get a chance to recruit kids because they never get to your campus. So for instance, let me give you this. People think it's easy recruiting to Kansas. Last year, 85 out of the top 100 players in the country all went within 4 hours of their home. Last year. You know how many players in the top 100 was within 4 hours of KU? This many. Last year also, the nearest home visit we did, home visits where we actually, this doesn't mean we offer. This means we actually go into a young man's home was 8-hour drive, the nearest one. So that would be something I would hope that we could get kids, because we get them to campus, we'll get them. That's what I've always felt the struggle is, getting them to campus. So I would change that. And the other thing, the MEA thing is out of control, and baseball's ahead of the game. I wish, hey, if you want to go, but if you go to school, commit to school. And we've been really fortunate with our guys in that Julian legitimately was going to graduate in 3 years. We had a plan for him to graduate in 3 years. Brandon, even though he's got a rep of not liking school, I'm not saying he loves it, but not liking school, whatever. I mean, the guy's getting 18 hours every semester. So I mean, we're the exception and not the rule, because a lot of kids use college as a vehicle for 1 year to get to where they want to go. But we've been blessed to have kids that it's been a two-way street and followed through. But hey, go out of high school or stay for 3 years. That's how I wish. And football does that too. So I wish that we would follow suit, but that won't happen. Yeah.
You could comment on the issue of Title IX and some of the trends that are occurring in collegiate basketball that have given some people pause to suggest that certain sports, especially men's sports and especially football, but maybe also basketball, should be taken out of departments that require academic involvement and put into departments of entertainment.
No, I think what we hear, and I'm not saying I know all on this, but I sat on some committees with presidents, not with presidents, with athletic directors. I'm getting ready to meet with the basketball committee here next week in San Antonio. I'm on the National Association board. I think I have a pretty good feel for this, not great. Anybody that thinks that these athletes are entertainers and athletes only don't get it. Because I don't know if you guys realize that there are 333 schools that play college basketball, and let's say each just for numbers' sake, let's say each school only has 10 scholarship athletes, which they all have more than that. So that's, what is that? 333. So what is that? What is that? 3,000. Okay. Okay. So you guys are better at math than me. So of those kids that are out there, and there's more than that, so let's just say there's 5,000. Of those kids that are out there each year, how many do you ever hear about the negativity that goes on, that they're concerned that they're going to go to school and drop out, or college is just a means to get to where they want to go? You're going to hear that on a few, but you're not going to hear it on everybody else. It's the same thing. You know, negative news makes a paper, positive news doesn't. And there are so many positive things that go on. And I'm also a big believer of this. You do not have to get your degree to get an education. Now, you have to get your degree to do something with your education. But kids can be educated by going to school. There's a lot of kids that maybe don't get that piece of paper, but are in school 3 years, and maybe they have to drop out because of work or family crisis or whatever. But during that 3 years, in some way, shape, or form has prepared them to be a better mother, a better father, a better provider, a better husband, a better wife. So I kind of take offense to that, not to the question, but just to the general thinking that, hey, these are, kids don't care about school, they don't do this, they don't do that, because that's not true. That's not true, and it's certainly not true in the situations that we've been fortunate enough to be in. It does happen. Maurice Claret, how much negative publicity did he bring? Because he basically went to Ohio State, won a national championship, and said, to heck with everybody else, I'll do what I want to do. Brought a school down, put a black eye on college football, did everything bad you could possibly be. And you know something? That's one kid. But there's a lot of positive things going on as well. So, and I would think even in your profession, I mean, I may be wrong, but there may be one or two out there that maybe don't follow protocol or aren't as serious about what's going on with what you're trying to do too. So I think I don't see it as entertainment. I don't see it. I see it that fans view it as that. But hey, these kids, Christian Moody just applied to your med school. Okay, I had a player 2 years ago apply and not get in. He had a 3.98 and didn't get in. Okay, Christian Moody's just applied to your med school, and I'm hoping like heck he's going to get in, and I think if he tests well, I would think he'd have a great chance. But here's a kid that being a basketball player at Kansas isn't a 40-hour job. Okay, we can only work with them 20 hours a week. It's not a 40-hour job. It's a 60 or 80-hour job a week, because there's not 1 second of their life once they become that they aren't totally consumed with basketball. They can't be a normal kid. There's no way. Every time they walk out the room, they're no longer normal. Every waking hour that I have, even when I'm with my family, I'm still the coach at Kansas. Our conversations are, hey, what's Julian thinking today? Hey, how's Brandon's attitude? Hey, how's Cole? Is Cole? We going to get him now? I heard Cole's mom got let go from her job. What are we going to do about that? Hey, can you do this? That's what we talk about. Okay, that's how my wife and I communicate. Maybe that's why we get along decent. So it's not a 40-hour a week job. It's a job because you never go home from it. And to see how these kids manage time and do that stuff, and yeah, you hear negative things, and there are going to be negative things in all walks, but they amaze me. These kids amaze me how focused they can be considering all the pressures they're under. And there is pressure. There is pressure to perform, and you guys know, just like there's pressure on you guys too.
Coach, I have two questions about rule changes.
Mm-hmm.
One is the distance on a three-point shot, and the other is, do you think that college basketball will ever go to the shot clock limit as the NBA?
No. If the shorter the clock, the less upsets there'll be, because the more possessions in the game, the better teams have a chance to win. So I would say that won't happen. The schools that, the Missouri Valley schools of the world that are really, really good, but have to maybe get a little lucky to beat an elite program, I don't think they would allow that to happen, and I'm not sure they should. I love the game the way it is, and I would say that the rule change, moving the line back, I think it's a good rule. It's too close. Too many kids or players, both men and women, are so consumed with the three-point line that they forgot how to play. And moving it back will maybe enhance that a little bit. Plus, it also creates a greater distance defensively that you have to go from guard and shooter to helping on the post. So now, hopefully, it'll give post people more of an opportunity to maneuver, and then if they do help, it'll give more opportunities offensively on pass outs and things like that. Because and it's also good if you don't have good shooters. Now you'll never shoot it.
Coach, when you took the job at the University of Kansas, I think you made a comment that this was a lifetime or a destination, a final destination kind of a job for you.
Did I say that?
or something that
okay.
I recall. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you still feel that way? And if so, would this be a job that you could go old with?
I'm well on my way. I used to be a young coach, but that's not, nobody says that anymore. But I would say this basketball at Kansas, I think, is everything I thought it would be and more from a positive standpoint. I do think this, and I hope I'm there for a long time. But that large part, that's not just my decision, that's other people's decision too. But there are stresses that I probably deal with better than 90% of coaches, to be honest with you. I don't get too hung up on what everybody thinks. I also don't read newspapers a lot. I've never gotten on the internet since I've been here. Message boards, I've gotten on the internet, but not on message boards. And I've never listened to one talk radio show. If I did that, I probably wouldn't enjoy my job as much. I love my job, but my focus is not to make you happy. My focus is to do what's best for my team. And as long as I'm doing what's best for my team and staying positive and that kind of stuff, then I think it's as good a situation as you could ever coach in. But I also think times have changed in large part due to technology and the media wear you out. Time has changed that you're going to see less coaches coaching Fog Allen type years. That's not going to happen very often. So because there's just too many things going on. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. I probably talk to media guys during the off season when nothing's going on. I probably got 10 calling me a day, and you got to talk to them because you want them to be your voice for you. So I love it, but I can't coach. I can't coach till I'm 65 years old. I can't do that. I would have, but I do think I can coach for many more years. And for those of you who are wondering, it is more than 7 years from now that I do that. There's a question right here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So what do you say? The game? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had.
The game's on the line. What do you say to the player in the huddle? He has to make a foul shot or something.
Well, I usually never ever talk to him about making a foul shot. If in fact, if I talk to him about making a foul shot, it will be because I get mad at them, and I will tell them I'm mad. Like if a kid were a good free throw shooter, not Sasha, but a good free throw shooter would go up there and let's say brick a first one. I mean, just a miserable one. I may call timeout. So what are you doing? Good, you're better than this. Gee, Manny, I'd rather have you on the line than anybody on our team. You're going to go up there and act like that or something like that. But usually the only thing I'll ever say is, okay, guys, we're down one. After he makes both of these now, this is what we're going to do. And then after he leaves, get everybody else over there. Okay, now if he misses this. But I never talk about that. A lot of times I do think this. I learned this from Coach Krzyzewski. You know, I think guys feel ownership more. If you ask them something, they give you an answer. So a guy walked off. I said, "Are you good for two?" He said, "Coach, I'll make them both." Okay. And then your whole timeout is based on him making both. You know, even though it was a BS response, but you know, just something like that. But I never talk about missing. I never talk about negative. But the players that aren't involved, they'll know. They'll know.
Coach Bunny was here a while back, and she talked a lot about recruiting and how, you know, people don't really get how young these kids are and how much time it takes to just get them sort of focused on what they're trying to do over time. You know, you've done a really good job at making sure that the fans of Kansas aren't going to be looking, you know, at the team in, you know, early season and saying this is who we are.
Yeah.
You're saying, you know, this takes time
Yeah.
and so forth. Can you talk a little bit about the kinds of things you do to build the team and to really give them that sort of long-term focus that seems to be is what happens?
Well, when we talk every year, we don't set any short-term goals. Everything that we do is set over time, and you know, championships or winning the league or whatever it is, that's not won in November or December or January, and we've always said this, that we want to be playing our best in February, going into March. That's always been our goal. Okay. And the other thing is, I think before you can become a team, I'm not, you know, obviously I can't coach a lick in November or December because we've lost games then. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. We've lost games then, and those games hurt to lose. But in this big scheme of things, I don't see how you can become a team unless you go through some stuff. I don't. Every team's different, and the thing that I would take most pride on and that I would enjoy the most is coaching a team where everybody else doubts us. I really like that. And I love coaching last year's team when we were 3-4 and stunk it up in Maui, and we were young and green and didn't know what we were doing and we were going to win a game. And I love coaching that team because, you know, the whole deal was they didn't lose focus. Is, okay, we're spoiled brats. That's what they realized. And we got to get a lot tougher and harder if we're going to do it. So sometimes as a coach, you just kind of let the bad things happen so that way you can get their attention too. But then when they got it, they got it. And that team won 15 out of the last 16 to end the season and win the league. So I'm a big believer that nothing's won in November, December, and the total focus is long term. Are we getting better every day? If we're not getting better, we're wasting days and people are passing us. But it's a process. So.
I assume you have mentors, and could you talk a little bit about who your mentors are and how you relate to them?
Well, I've worked for 3 guys as an assistant coach that one of them's been National Coach of the Year and in the Hall of Fame. Another one has been National Coach of the Year like 3 years and should be in the Hall of Fame. And the other one's been an NBA head coach and been National Coach of the Year. I mean, how many guys can say that? So I've stolen from all of them. I feel that of all the guys that I work for, the one in the shortest amount of time or the fewest talks offers me the best insight is Coach Brown, though. You know, I work with Coach Sutton, but I know him too good. And I work with Leonard, and Leonard's great, and I honestly believe that. But Larry follows us. He studies us. He is into everything that's going on here, even from afar. And I'm not, you know, I don't talk to him every week, but it's great for him to tell me certain things. For instance, he told me I called him this year, and I don't know if you guys remember, but we lost to Oral Roberts. And then we played miserably and lost to DePaul. And we had more egos, agendas. It was a joke how many things were going on in our guys' minds. And a lot of them my fault, but also a lot of them just things that happened. You know, we had Sharon's, you know, I wasn't going to play Sharon because he's overweight. You know, Julian had this going on. You know, Shady had this going on. And, you know, Shady started so fast, and then You know, he tells me he didn't want to start, and then okay, I won't start you. So now he's not starting. He's not happy because he's not starting. You got all these things going on that and people in their ears and everything. And we were 6-2, and we weren't any good. And I called Coach, and Coach said, "Yeah, I've been watching you." And he said, I said, "Coach, we're better than what we're playing. We're better than what we're playing." He said, "Yeah, I would agree with that." And everything, and I said, you know, I gotta make it where I gotta do something. And he said, no, you don't. And I said, you don't think so? He said, no, can't let them win. Being dead serious, can't let them win. And what you need to do, you need to be harder on them than you've ever been, and you need to get them to see it only through your eyes and your eyes only. And you don't need to compromise one bit with these cats, because in the end, you know your way works. I mean, it's been proven over time. And you know something? Good advice. Because here I am thinking, well, I need to do this, or what about this, and keeping guys happy. No, you don't need to worry about keeping anybody happy. You know what makes people happy? Winning. And so, you know, and I really thought that was great advice, you know, saying, well, you know, we're not in Garden. Should we switch? That'll be easier for them. No, you shouldn't switch. Soft team switch. You know, that was kind of his approach. And I thought that was really good. That was good for me to hear, because here's a guy that I respect more than anybody. And he also told me something one time that was really unique. Everybody knows that Coach Brown. Do you guys remember Coach? A lot of you too young to remember Coach. But Coach Brown was one of the meanest guys. That behind the scenes was a drill sergeant, a control guy, all that stuff. But to the outside people, oh, what a nice guy. You know, he's what? Yeah, he was like, I mean, he was great. But I'm telling you what, players, oh my gosh. I mean, hey, the year they won the national championship, guys trying to transfer at Christmas, I can't play for this man. This man's crazy. All this stuff. I mean, so he's tough. I mean, Coach Brown is tough. And I thought I got such a kick out of this, but God can he, even Daniel will tell you, God, he's tough, but God can he coach. And I was talking, I'm at Tulsa, and we're good. And we just beat Cincinnati, and we're in the Sweet 16, and we didn't have any players we didn't have one player that could play at Kansas. But we had a great team. I think we ended up 32-5, and Carolina upset us. We were a 4-point favorite to beat them in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four, and they beat us on the last possession. So it was a great team. And he called me and he said, "Hey, Bill, great job. I'm proud of you. I think you guys can win it." And I'm like, "We can't win it." He said, "I'm telling you what, you can get there. I'm telling you this, but here's what I want you to do. Don't want you to yell at a player the rest of the year." What? Don't yell at a player the rest of the year. I don't want to see any bad body language. Nothing. Just coach them. Be positive, just coach and smile the whole time. And I said, "Coach, come on." He said, "You don't understand. Those kids care so much that you'd have no chance to be where you are unless they care so much. So you need to show them in return how much you appreciate how much they care." Great advice. I did that. Our kids were loose. I mean, everything was fun. So I do have mentors, but Coach Brown would probably be the biggest one. Yeah. Oh, gosh. I know this lady.
First of all, I want to thank you for a fabulous season. Everybody, I mean, we're here at the Med Center, but everybody follows you guys. Tremendous team. My question to you is following up on the mentorship. When the kids, the end of the season, a lot of them get homesick. They want to go back to their parents. Is there someone there besides their parents? Some of the neighborhoods can be very difficult for them to maintain their, identity as far as protecting them, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Is there someone there that follows them, or you stay in touch with them, the coaches, or do you encourage them to go to school, summer school?
Oh, yeah, they have to. I mean, there's no encouraging. If they want to stay on scholarship, they go to summer school. I mean, I hate to say that, because that way they're in there, and we see them every day, and they work out. But you bring up a good point. Like, I have a rule that we don't always follow, and I don't enforce it as strongly as I should, but every player has to come see me every day. Every day. So if I'm not in, they got to see an assistant coach just so we know they're checking in. Now, during the season, that's not a problem, but these guys are – one thing that happens at Kansas is these guys, they kind of bond together, because they know that they can't just, do what they want to do, and they can't just let anybody in and that kind of stuff. So they kind of bond together, and they really look out for each other pretty good for the most part. And so I would say that their family is really each other, and their best friends are each other. And then, you know, we can still work them out during the week. We can still do some things that we still have contact with them. But the NCAA rules won't let you have families in town and stuff like that to take care of them. So it's a good question, and we do have guys that get homesick. Like Sharon would be a guy that could potentially get homesick, but he's been great. And in Kansas, that's one of our problems, because if you look at a roster, other than, you know, there's nobody from around here basically. Most, you know, 10 of the 13 kids are from all over the world, so it's easy for those guys to kind of get lost sometimes.
Coach, sports are often a metaphor for life. I'm wondering what your philosophy on life or success, that sort of thing, is.
Well, my dad was he was the executive director of the high school athletic association in Oklahoma, and their motto was athletics was the other half of education. You know, but I would say through sports you can learn so many things that could help you in life. And I'm going through it now with my children, primarily my son, because you know, I'm amazed. You know, as a parent, it's totally impossible to be objective about your own kid. I mean, you know, you recruit a kid. I mean, every parent thinks their kid's better than that kid you're playing, and all that stuff. So you can't be objective. And I think I've got a pretty good feel for that. And then I catch myself sometimes even thinking things and trying not to say them, but think things that probably isn't from a coach's perspective. But there's so many things that can be taught through athletics. I think teamwork is one huge thing. Being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. If you commit to a team, you commit to it. You cannot leave it. Once you sign up to do it, you do it. I think unselfishness, you know, sacrificing for the good of the person next to you. I think those are all key things that will go a long way in becoming the most whole person you can be. I also believe that, and you know, my son is going through something where he's a 7th grader, a decent athlete, but he's, you know, smaller than everybody and struggling, you know, keeping up with in some areas, and so he sits on the bench a lot. And you know, no parent wants to see their kids sit on the bench, but deep down, not a bad thing for him. Learning to be a part of a team when it's not built around him, you know, there's a lot of good things that go along with that. So I think athletics is so valuable. And at a young age, just participating is so important. You know, working hard, your work ethic, you know, being disciplined, you know, those sorts of things. But if just as a life motto, I've never had anybody ask me that. But I'd probably say work hard, play hard, to be honest. But I would say, you know, just give yourself the best chance day in, day out to be the best person you could be. And you can't do that without thinking of others first. So,
Coach, what's matchup zone and how do you break it down? No, just joking.
Out of the way, Doc. You tell me. You probably already know.
You've got Julian Wright leaving, and you've got Brandon Rush maybe leaving.
Teetering. Yeah.
Teetering. And we have this happen quite frequently. A member of the team leaves, a member of the lab leaves. How do you deal with the other members of the team in terms of rebuilding and restructuring and starting it back up again?
Well, I think one thing going into it, whether it's a member of your lab or whatever, you've got to know going in that you're not going to keep people forever. And you also have to be happy with them that they can do something to better themselves. And also, I think, because of our situation and this situation, your teammates should understand more so than ever that we need to have the most talented guys and the most depth to give us a chance over time. Because, you know, you don't want to have one person you depend on the whole time. That person's gone and now you're stuck. So you need to have good people in place ready to take advantage. But I think our guys, first of all, if you're competitive, you know, every one of our people think, gee, that's okay. Now I get more shots. We'll be better anyway. You know, that's what they all think. I don't think it's been the most positive thing, but I also think it hasn't been negative. It hasn't been negative because these guys, these guys believe they're good. And regardless of what happens, you always adjust. I mean, you adjust and you tweak things and play a little different way or whatever to give you the best chance. But it's always been my experience that when something like this happens, somebody always steps up. You know, Florida lost 3 guys that were the 3 leading scorers that all went early the year before they won a national championship. And everybody's thinking, well, how could they do this? Well, the pieces fit better, and plus the players they had playing were a little bit better, and coach realized it, I guess, the next year. But I just, you know, it just goes with the territory. It's just kind of like, you know, you just take it, move on. It's just a step, because of the whole thing is not to have a great team. The whole thing is to have a great program. So you can't base everything on the short term. What happens here if this person leaves? Well, if they leave, they leave. That's life. Now we'll just have to work a little bit harder and replace them, and everybody will pull their weight a little more. But you know, people say, how are you handling all this? I'm handling fine. Jeez. You know, it's not, but I may not like it as much next January, but it's not killing me now.
One more question, then Dr. Atkinson has a little presentation for you. Any more questions? No? We go back to the matchup zone. I think I'll give the microphone to Dr. Atkinson.
You could just stay up here for one last thing, but I just want to thank everybody who helped put this on together, and this whole leadership series has been another great one and another great year, so thank you to everybody who did that. Lots of people did. What we have is a T-shirt for you and each of your family members. This one is a special one that was designed by 3 first-year medical students. I think the main person was Scott Pauley, but he was helped by Brad Thompson and Cameron Ledford. And this was designed for the intramural basketball league that we have here.
Okay, good.
And they won. Their team won the league. It's really an interesting one.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It says KU Med hemoglobin, and then it says Trotters. So
that's good.
It really is unique. Well,
Thank you,
we
Doc.
really appreciate it. It was
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
time.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you here.
Thanks.
Come back again.
Okay.